Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I will be showing you how to make this cute DIY felt Supergirl. She's about 4.5 inches tall and roughly 2 inches wide. So let's get started. For this project, you'll be needing cream felt, yellow felt, red felt, and blue felt. You will also be needing some pink, white, red, yellow, and blue thread. I forgot to pull those out. A circle cookie cutter or stencil, 2 black beads for the eyes, 2 smaller off-white or clear beads for the earrings, a needle, some scissors, a pen, some polyfill, or I like to call it fluff, and a hot glue gun. Okay, so to start, I'm going to pull out my pattern that I have here. I'm going to lay it all out and see what I've got. Okay, so first we're going to take our cream felt and your circle cookie cutter or stencil, and you're going to draw out a circle. This will be for your face. You will need 2 of these cut out, and for time purposes, I'm not going to show cutting out duplicates of each item. After that's done, you're going to take your yellow felt and we're going to cut out some bangs. I would recommend on this piece making your bangs a little bigger than you might need them. Once we get it glued on, then you can always trim it down if you need to. Once that's done, we're going to cut out our hair piece. So you're going to take a face, one of your face pieces, and you're going to just draw out your hair piece. And you can continue with it freehand, or you can leave your face piece on if you would like. It's up to you. Alright, so once we have our face, bangs, and hair done, we're going to go ahead and start on the cape. And again, for this piece as well, I would recommend cutting it a little bigger than you might need it. Alright, so next we'll work on our arm pieces. So you'll need your blue felt, and when you get these cut out, you're going to need 4 of them total. Alright, so that's done. Next we're going to work on our hands. So you're going to need 4 of these as well. Okay, once that's done, we're going to start on the body. So first we're going to make the top, her shirt piece. Okay, so you'll need 2 of those. Next we're going to do the skirt. And the skirt is a piece that I would recommend making a little bigger. Again, once we get it glued on, we can trim it down if we need to. So you'll need 2 skirt pieces. Next we're going to do the feet. And you'll need 2 of these pieces as well. Now we're going to make the yellow part of her little S symbol. And this piece really doesn't need to be that big. It's just kind of a nice small little piece. Alright, so we're done with cutting for the most part. There will be a few more pieces to cut out, but that'll be later on. So we get to start on the fun stitching now. Alright, so first we're going to start with our little yellow piece. We're going to take a long piece of red thread, and what you're going to do is you're going to bring both ends up together, and you're going to tie a knot. If my thread is doubled, normally I'll only tie it 2 or 3 times. The bigger the knot is, the less likely your thread will pull through your felt. So what we're going to do, you're basically just going to stitch on the letter S to this really small yellow piece. If you want to, you can draw it on first, or you can freehand it. It's up to you, whichever way you feel more comfortable. Alright, so once that's done, now you're basically just going to stitch back over the top of it, just to kind of make it stand out a little more. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to tie it off. So just run your needle through some of your thread. And you're going to tie a knot. Make sure you pull it kind of tight so it doesn't come loose. Cut off the excess. You're good to go. Alright, next what you're going to do is you're going to take your yellow piece and you're going to put some hot glue on the back of it. Then you're just going to stick this down to your red felt. Okay, and then this part is real simple. You're just going to cut around your yellow piece. Leave a little bit of red so you can see the yellow on top of the red. You don't want to cut it too thin. Alright, and the symbol is done. Next we're going to work on the arms. You're going to lay out all your blue pieces. You're going to put your hand pieces. One hand piece will go underneath the blue, and one will be on top of the blue. So have it just like this. What you're going to do is you're going to hot glue your hand onto the sleeve. So you'll hot glue the hand underneath the sleeve, and then for the next one you'll hot glue the hand on top of the sleeve. And there we go. So now you're just going to do the exact same thing to the other two. Alright, so now you will have 2 arm pieces that are complete. Now we're going to work on the face. So you're going to take one of your face pieces and you're going to stick your bangs on top. And if you need to, you can trim it down a little bit. Just trim it down until you get it like how you want it. Once it's trimmed down, you're just going to put a little dollop of hot glue right in the middle there. And you're going to glue it onto the face. And then with the side pieces, you're going to take a little hot glue, just glue it down so it stays in place. Alright, next you're going to take your hair piece and you're going to put a tiny bit of hot glue up towards the top of your face and glue it down. Just want it right up at the top there. And there's your head. Next we'll work on the body. We'll assemble that. We're going to do this kind of how we did the arms. So you're going to put hot glue here on the front of the shirt. You're going to hot glue the skirt to the front of your shirt, like that. For the back piece, you're going to put hot glue on the back of the shirt and hot glue the skirt to the back, just like that. When you put them on top of each other, they'll have this nice, clean, finished look. And if you need to trim off some of your skirt, just trim it down so it's pretty lined up with your shirt. And it looks like one solid piece. Alright, there we go. Next we're going to work on the feet. So you're going to hot glue to the front of your feet and you're going to stick them to the back of the skirt. Just like that. Next, you're going to hot glue to the front of the feet and stick it to the back of the skirt. And there we go. And you can lay one on top of the other, and there's your body. Alright, now we're going to start on the stitching. So you're going to take some yellow thread and you're going to tie a knot. Normally, if my thread is single, I'll normally tie the knot like 5 or 6 times, just to make sure it's nice and big enough so that it won't slip through my felt. Alright, for this whole piece we're going to be blanket stitching. For those of you that don't know how to blanket stitch, you can click in the top right of the screen and check out my video where I will show you how to blanket stitch. You're going to blanket stitch the entire part of the yellow. Then when you get to the bottom, you're just going to tie it off. Cut off your excess, and there's your yellow. Alright, next you're going to take a long piece of white thread and you're going to blanket stitch the face. You only want to stitch about half of your face piece together, leaving the other half open so that we can fill it with some fluff. Alright, when you're filling these pieces, really just use your judgment. You don't want it to be too stiff, but at the same time you don't want it to be too flat. Once you get it filled, you can finish stitching your face together. And then you're just going to tie it off. Don't cut off the excess though, because we're going to need that for stitching on the eyes. Alright, just kind of move around the fluff, get it nice and even inside the face there. You're going to want to try to open up the hairpiece as much as you can. You're going to insert your needle into the side of the face and bring it out the back. Make sure you keep your hairpiece up and out of the way so you don't start stitching that to the face. You're going to bring it up, stick on your eye, take the needle right back down into the back of the face. And there's one of your eyes. And you're going to want to run your thread through the bead. I generally do it about 3 times. The more times you do it, the more secure it'll be. Alright, so there's one of our eyes. You're going to run your needle through the inside of the face and back out, just so you don't have all that excess thread getting in the way. Alright, so now you're just gonna stitch on the other eye. Try to get it as even as you can with your first eye. Just gonna stitch this on. Run your thread through your bead about 3 times. Alright, once that's done, you're just gonna tie it off here in the back. Cut off your excess thread, and your eyes are done. Alright, so now we're going to do the mouth. So you can try to draw it on first if you can, or you can freehand it. You're going to take pink thread and double it over just like we did with the red thread. You're going to stitch on her little mouth here. Once you get it all stitched on, then you're going to go back over it exactly like we did with the red thread, just so it kind of stands out a little more. I actually ran out of thread, so I don't have enough to tie it down. So I'm just going to take some hot glue and hot glue it down to the back of my face. Cut off the excess, and that should hold it. Alright, so now you're done with the mouth. What we're going to do is we're going to cut out a little headband for her out of some blue felt. And with this piece, you can cut it a little bigger, and then we'll stick it on her head. And if you need to trim it down, you can. So I actually cut mine a little too big, so I'm just gonna trim it down here real fast. Alright. Once it's the size you want, just put some hot glue here in the middle of it. You're going to stick it down to the head. When that's stuck, you can raise up one side and hot glue along the blue headband piece, and then just stick it down. Like that. Then we'll do the same thing with the other side. there's the headband. Now you're going to take a fine point Sharpie. We're going to draw on some eyelashes. Make her extra cute. You want them to be kind of dark so they're noticeable, but they don't need to be too incredibly dark. Alright, so here's what we have so far in the head. We have one more thing to do, and then the head will be complete. So what we're going to do now is you're going to take your white thread, you're going to knot it about 6 or 7 times, just so it's big enough so that it won't get pulled through the felt. And you're going to take your smaller clear beads or off-white beads, whichever one you've got, and we're going to attach some earrings to our Supergirl doll. So how we're going to do this is you're going to take your needle, you're going to push it in through the back of the head, you're going to put your bead through your needle, get it right up next to the face there, and then you're going to run your needle through the back of the head. When you pull it out, you're going to slip it through the bead and then through the back of the head again. And you're just going to repeat this process probably 6 or 7 times, just until you think it's secure enough. Then you're going to, once you get that done, you're going to do the other side as well. Alright, so now that the head is done, we're going to start on the hands. So how we do this is you've got a piece of blue thread here, and you're going to blanket stitch up the side. Like this. So get all the blue felt there stitched up together. There we go. Okay, now open it up. You're going to run your needle through the side of your arm, and you're going to kind of put it underneath some of the felt so the thread is not in the way. And you're going to pull it through. So it should look something like this. Now you're going to take a piece of white thread and you're going to thread up the hand. Be careful not to get the blue thread stuck in between your white thread. And for this threading process, you can use one color thread if you would like. If you would like it more detailed though, I would recommend doing the different colors of thread. Once you get your white done, you're going to tie it off, cut off the excess, and then you're going to take your blue thread back on your needle and you're going to thread down the other side of your arm. Make sure you get it nice and tight too, so the fluff doesn't come out the sides. You want to make sure it's nice and secure. Alright, once that's done, we're going to take the little stick, any stick will work, and you're going to just kind of open up that arm and you're going to put some fluff inside. And again, just use your judgment. I mean, you don't want these too stiff, but then again, you don't want them too flat. You just kind of, you want them to be nice and solid, I guess you could say. And it will take a little bit of work. You might have to take some out, put some back in. Just keep going until you have it exactly how you want it. Once you get done with that, you're just going to stitch it closed. It's pretty simple. Stitch it up, then you're going to tie it off. But you're not going to cut off the excess thread just yet, because we're going to need that thread for a later process when attaching the arms to the body. So you're going to want to do this to your other arm as well. So in the end, you should have 2 arm pieces with thread still attached. Next, we're going to work on the body. And the body, if you're using more than one color thread, it's going to be a little more complicated. Or you can just use one color thread, it's really up to you. First, we're going to attach some shoes though. So you're going to hot glue some of the bottom part of the feet, and you're just going to stick on any piece of red felt. You're going to do the same thing to the other side. Just hot glue the very bottom of your feet and then stick on some red felt. Alright, once that's done, flip it over so you can see kind of what you're doing. And you're just going to cut your red out. So it's going to look like a little pair of shoes on our doll. Just going to cut here around the white or the cream. And there you go. There's your shoes. Alright, so first we're going to stitch up the blue. And don't start stitching at the very top. You want to leave some space so it's easier to fill it with fluff later. You're going to stitch the blue. You're going to take it all the way down here to the skirt. You're going to want to stop right up next there to the skirt. Then just like with the hands, you're going to open it up, run your needle through the side, push it through some of that felt so it's not in the way, and bring it out on the other side. Alright, now you're going to take your red thread and we're going to stitch up the skirt. You got to be careful though so you don't get the blue thread in there, because that will cause a mess. So you're going to stitch up the skirt. Alright, so my skirt is done, and I pushed my needle and thread through the middle of my body, just like we did with the blue one. Now I'm going to take white thread and stitch up the legs. There's really not much of the legs to stitch up. When you're done with that, just run it through. Now we're going to stitch up the feet. But you got to be really careful now, because now you have 3 strands of thread to look out for. Make sure you don't get them stitched up into what you're stitching. Alright, so once you get your shoes stitched up, and you're going to tie it off, and then for time purposes I'm not going to video stitching up the other side, but what you're going to do, you're just going to rethread your needle with each piece of thread and stitch up after you get it stitched up, after you get each color stitched up, and you'll tie it off. Alright, so I've stitched up my whole piece, left the top open. I'm going to open it up with my stick and fill it with some fluff. Make sure you use your stick and get the fluff down in between the shoes so that the feet get nice and squishy. And the body will probably take a good amount of fluff. So when you get it fluffed up how you want it, just stitch up the top. I'm going to put a little more fluff in. Alright, now I'm going to stitch up the top here. Just finish it off. Make sure it's nice and solid. When you get to the end, go down the side as far as you need to. Then you're going to tie it off. and cut off your excess. Okay, now we're going to make some legs. So you're going to take your white thread and you're just going to run it through where the approximate spot for the legs. And you're just going to do this as many times as you want. Make sure you pull it pretty tight so you get the little definition. You can tell that there's two legs there, not just one giant one. When you're done with that, run your thread through, knot it off, and cut off your excess. So now we have a nice body with two very distinct legs. Once you get that done, then you're going to take some yellow felt and we're going to make her belt. So you're going to need two of these belt shaped pieces, I guess. Once you get those cut out, then you're going to hot glue them onto your body. One on the front, one on the back. It's okay if they don't touch, you're not going to be able to see it when we get the hair glued down. Alright, and now for the fun part. We are going to assemble our doll. So what we're going to do first is attach the head to the body. You're going to want to get your hair out of the way, put some hot glue up at the top of their body, and you're going to stick your face down onto the top of the body. Make sure it's nice and pressed down, good and secure. Okay, next we're going to add our little S symbol. You're going to just put a little bit of hot glue on the back of there, stick it down here to her chest, like that. Alright, and now for the arms. There's two options. I've done it both ways and they both work great. You can either hot glue your arms to the body, and if that's what you would like to do, just cut off this thread that you have on the arm and hot glue it down. Or you can stitch it. Either way works. It won't really matter. Once you have the arms attached, here we go. Once those are attached, we're going to add her cape. So you're going to place it about where you want it. Put a little bit of hot glue up at the top of the cape to start, and you're going to press it down, make sure it's nice and secure. Don't forget to turn it over, move it around if you need to, get it positioned where you want it. Once it's at the right spot, you're going to run some hot glue just down the middle of the cape. Then you'll press it down, and then optional, if you want to, you can just put a little bit of hot glue up at the top of the cape or on the arm and stick the cape to the arm. This just makes sure it's not going to go anywhere, and it makes it a little more solid. Alright, now we're going to run some hot glue down the middle of her hair. We're going to press that down there. And then again, optional, you can glue the sides of her hair down to her arms just to make sure it's not going anywhere and to kind of reinforce it a little bit. And there's that. So there's our doll. I'm just going to add a little bit of color to her cheeks. You can use your own makeup. I'm just using some of my blush. You're going to put some of it on your Q-tip. You don't want too much. You don't want it to be too dark, but you want to be able to notice it. You're just going to rub it around here on her cheeks. Like that. And there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe so you never miss a video, and I'd love to hear your ideas. If you have any dolls that you would like to learn how to make, comment below and I'll do my best to make your request. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.